Hey. Let's wait on some people coming in here, man. Anything goes. He's been on there for a while. uh, Let me see these people dialed up here, man. And we're getting them. People's coming in. Got a special guest. You guys know it. You guys been paying attention. Blackie Tom's going to be with us here in a minute. Want to let you know what's going on. Tonight's stuff is about affordable or low budget camping, so it's going to be a good show. There it is. There they go. Hello from deep dark mountains of Vermont. Man, that's a piece from here. We're still dialing in people. Usually takes a few minutes to get in here. There's outdoors. Hey man, that's Sean. Gary, how you doing, brother? Hey, there's Australia. He's upside down. TTW. We'll get you in here, Blackie. Go ahead and come on here, Black.
All right. Okay.
So guys, I just want
to
there's William.
Hello down there to TTW Bushcraft. Good to see you. Outdoors with Sean, Gary. Anything goes. Jonathan, cool dude. William Cuz, good to see you. How y'all doing?
Jonathan. They waiting on there. I think it's gonna be a good talk today. Me and Blackie was talking about that. Yeah, everybody's safe, Jonathan. We're here. Everybody else is safe. We just been well, I've been talking to Blackie a little time. My day has been turned upside down. So I was kind of lagging on getting stuff today. But it's like I say hello to everybody, new guys. We're still gonna be peeling guys off here. But don't get mad because I think it's gonna be a good conversation. What we're gonna be talking about tonight is a low budget. We got to talking about this low budget camping or camper. I thought I had it up, but I don't.
Or as we say down here, a redneck camper.
Redneck camper.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's an H in Tomas. It's Blackie Tomas or Thomas.
Thomas. Oh, did I? Oh, I did spell it wrong. I messed your H. Well, now his name's Thomas. I ain't gonna... Oh, you know I was trying to hurry up and get this done, dude.
Oh yeah, it's fine.
There's Hiram.
He used to have a from Puerto Rico. He called me Thomas.
Say it again. I'm losing you. I don't know why.
You losing me?
Say something. Yeah.
I'm here.
Say something.
Don't rate me.
It was just going. No, we was just talking just fine.
I'm talking now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I thought I lost it. Okay.
Here.
So what we're talking about is low. Why did this come about? Is what I'm saying.
Okay. Well, for me, because I started seeing a lot of channels going more toward the big, heavy industrial RV type thing, where they're taking a pickup truck and they've got a sleeping platform up top with a tent on it, and the inside is packed solid full of gear, and they got these draw out trays, and it looks a lot like an industrial work truck to me more than a camper. And I think they're great. I think they look cool. You know, the first time I ever saw one in person was at Georgia Bushcraft 2 years ago. Several of the vendors had them. And I mean, they had even, a shower on board, microwave ovens, all the generators. They were set up. And I was impressed with it. But the bottom line is that's probably $70,000 plus sitting there. And I ain't got no $70,000 for no camping. So there's a lot of people out there that'd like to have something to be able to camp with. Because let's face it, a lot of us are getting over the age where living in a tent is not the way to go. We need something a little more. Plus make it something like a little bit of a bug out vehicle, something that I could use as a base camp if whatever happens, natural disaster, whatever, that I've got to take my family and move out of this area for a while. I want it set up where we could use it as a base of operations, be able to sleep in it, be able to cook in it, next to it, whatever. Carry water, have it organized so it be a functional camper as well as being a truck. I don't have the money for a big top end thing, so what I've got is an old pickup truck and one of them aluminum covers, that goes over the top of it. Had it for 30 years. And that's what I'm going to be doing some videos coming up on Redneck Camping of how to set this up to be a camper and be comfortable in my environment. Now, you're going to have more needs. We've talked about this earlier. In your cold climate, you're going to have to set that thing up different from mine because it's got to be way more insulated than I'm going to need. Because, like you said, you touch that metal, you're stuck. So you're going to need it in your environment, but not in mine.
And that's what we called overlanders. The Jeep was, and right there, TW just said 18,000 for his camper. Well, a lot of people don't have that, and we're talking about having an incognito pickup truck. Don't look
Mm-hmm.
real expensive, budget. Nobody really pays attention. I mean, they see a $50,000 Jeep all jacked up, all stuff going by. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about a standard pickup truck, putting a cheap aluminum cam top that's waterproof on there, and how can we get by? Well, down at Blackie's in December would be a lot easier than in December in my neck of the woods. And it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like incognito truck that we could travel around. We need to bug out. Maybe there's a major forest fire or an earthquake, volcano, whatever. Go with all kinds of stuff. But trap dancing like a Ford. He's got to get in. But it's what we got in there. Can we cook in it? Can do we have enough shelter in it? Can we sleep warm or cool? It got to go both ways.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And kind of be incognito. Everybody's going to see these overlanders, and I like the overlanders. I think they're cool. They got the tent on top, but the tent doesn't offer a lot of other protection. It's still a tent. You're just sitting on top of your vehicle. The aluminum cam top would offer us a little bit more protection for heavier snow, torrential rains like down at Blackie's got.
Winds,
You know,
stuff like that.
winds, yeah. And you're
And
lower to the ground. Go
well,
ahead.
let's the fact of cost. Okay. Yeah, all of us would love to have one of them Jeep Gladiators all outfitted with all the stuff, and that's great. It's a fantastic. But that's money. Okay. Two, is this going to be a daily drive vehicle or a vehicle that stays at home till you need it? Because if it's a stay at home until we get a weekend we can go out camp, that's a lot of money to have just sitting there. Three, how big of a bullseye is this thing to rob, steal parts off of? You know, I run an old pickup truck. Now let's look at that a minute. You're about to create a vehicle you're going to take out in wilderness areas and use as a base camp. I may park it by this lake, get in a boat, and go out and fish. I'm leaving it alone. Okay. How big a target is it? If you're the redneck riding around on the dirt road and you find this $70,000 truck sitting here with all this camper and a tarp up on the top and there's nobody around. Woo, look at that expensive, gas powered this or that and that generator and that winch and all that. Man, that's a big red flag. That to me, that's a big target. You know, Whereas if you come around the corner and it's an old 1970s Chevy sitting there, kind of beat up with an old aluminum camper top on it, it doesn't attract nearly as much attention. And that's a big thing. Plus, when you're trying to evac out of areas, again, it doesn't attract nearly as much attention. It just looks like an old hunting truck or farm truck, somebody probably on its last legs, not worth messing with. More
Yeah.
stealth.
And we're talking hypothetical, off grid, natural disaster. You need to creep out. Maybe you need to go stay in a campground for a month. You know what I'm saying? Until the hurricanes pass and all the stuff damaged, stuff like that. I was reading Outdoors comment, if I was single and wealthy, I'd definitely load an before, and camp the States, and I'm also then happy to be in my pocket packing tent. And that's what we was talking about. I mean, the tent's great, but it's very hard to insulate in my neck of the woods. If you get down below zero in December or January, you know, I've been in tents. It's tough. I've been in pickups. One of my best stories is deer hunting. It was 80 degrees when we got there. It was below zero when we woke up in the morning. All the stuff was outside. We didn't expect this cold front to come in like the froze to do, you know, in the back of a pickup truck. And, you know, because you got to remember in the back of a pickup truck, an aluminum can shell or even a fiberglass can shell, and the box is steel. You know, there's no insulation value to you laying inside this bed. It's like laying on the cold ground. It's just going to suck the heat out.
It's actually
So how
worse
can
than
we
cold
fix
ground because the bed ain't on the ground; it's elevated in the air, so you got an airflow underneath you. So you got eighth of an inch of steel between you and a 30-mile-an-hour wind at 20 below zero. You know, you have to be. You're almost in a hammock mentality. Yes, it's metal, but that works for you. It's got a greater protection against wind, greater protection against snow, greater protection against all that. But it works against you. It transmits cold much easier, and you're inside of a box, you know, that's all metal of some form. So you have to insulate heavily all the way around you, depending on the conditions, how heavy you got to go.
And I was telling Blackie earlier that you know we tried stacking wool blankets and all the blankets that I had extra laying on the steel, and you've got to get 6, 8 inches of blankets to do that. And I told him how we used to do it was cardboard, guys. We used to pack the bottom of the floor full of cardboard, you know, 6, 8 inches thick. It's a sponge, but cardboard is corrugated and it holds air like insulation. Even Blackie said, if you look at the bums up in New York City in the wintertime, guess what they make their huts out of? Cardboard. So here's an idea, you know, that you can find cardboard in the trash cans around stores, layer the bottom of your truck, now lay the blankets down and get you off that steel. And like I said, you can find the right box and slide it in your bed, crawl inside that box. That's double installation of dead airspace between the cam top and the box. You know what I'm saying? And that would keep it warm in my neck of the woods. You know, some of you guys are up north even colder than I am. So
I mean, you
kind of
know that your body temperature is just a little under 100 degrees. So you're automatically radiating heat. So if I take a what in a teepee was called an ozone, and it was a extra layer that went right above the sleeping area and closed off inside the teepee another small area. And this is when they were camping out in the deep snow of the Great Plains, when they had mound up snow around it as a windbreak. And you kept the fire going in the middle, but fuel was precious. And so those ozons were to trap the heat coming off your body, force it to have to go through a layer instead of just drifting on up. Well, you put inside of that pickup bed some sort of barrier around your bed, like you saying a box that a washer came out of or a refrigerator came out of or something that you could get into, you're trapping more of the heat around you. Now, in my neck of the woods, we don't have that kind of cold. We do in the winter, it can get pretty bitter. But 8 months out of the year, it's heat. And so we need to radiate heat and get air circulation around us. And that's a big advantage in my neck of the woods of putting an elevated bed, like I use a cot that will fit inside the bed and the tailgate is closed. And it gets me a couple inches of air space under me. Now I've got an air, and I take a battery powered fan, suspend it from the ceiling. That will keep the air moving around you. It feels a lot cooler than it is because the air is moving. Now in the winter, you've got to seal off all the drafts you can because you don't want any air current coming in because that heat that's rising off of me, I want to trap it in there. And I want to somehow insulate it so it doesn't go up against that aluminum. I definitely don't want bare aluminum ceiling because they'll just get that and that sucks the heat out right then. Boom. Insulation in the ceiling, even if it's just cardboard, will slow that thermal loss going up and out. Trap it here close to me as long as possible. Because cold
yeah,
air.
and the human body is like a 100-watt light bulb. What they said, it radiates about the same heat as a 100-watt light bulb. So you can trap a lot of heat in there, you know, like that. But I mean, Sean said, his dad had an 80s pickup with the air mattress. And I've tried the air mattress in cold weather. The last time I went to deer camp, my buddy was on an air mattress. And they don't, even though it's dead airspace, there's no insulation value. And he liked to froze laying on that air mattress on the ground because of the convection, right? Convection.
So
But
that, in fact, again, you're heating that mattress by laying on it. The cold is on the bottom, the heat is on the top. This is going to set up a convection current with inside that mattress, which means that cold air is constantly being rotated up and your body's generating the heat to warm it up. And so, yeah, it warms up, but it'll never warm up to body temperature because that bottom layer is going to cool it. And so let's say you warm that mattress up to 60 degrees. That's 35 degrees or so colder than you. And your body's constantly pumping in calories trying to heat that up. Well, you're basically burning the fire hotter. So you get cold quicker because your fuel reserves go down faster. It'd be better to be something solid that once you warm it up, it's slower to transmit the heat away from you. When I'm insulating in a hammock or whatever, what I've learned is I want to trap at every layer going under me or over me, every BTU I can. I don't want it to float away. I want it to have to fight to get away from me. And therefore, I hold it longer. And the fuel source, don't have to generate so much heat. And you see that a lot. I've had a lot of friends that use air mattresses, and they're warm sleepers. And they'll lay down and they're great and everything's fine. And then they lay down like at 11 o'clock at night, let's say. And then 4 o'clock in the morning, they wake up with their teeth chattering. They are freezing. Their fuel ran out. The body's ability to make heat has run down. And it sucked more fuel, so to speak, trying to stay warm. Well, you done run out. And you have two choices of making heat. One is chemical energy, body processes, digestion. Another one's mechanical energy, getting up and moving to make your muscles generate heat. When you're laying there trying to sleep, all you got is chemical energy. And that's the body reserves running and the water circulating in your body, trying to keep it going. And that's the weaker source there. And so if you're not insulated to hold that heat from below and from above, you're just going to burn out your fuel source, so to speak. You run out of the calories you needed to stay warm, and you're going to wake up with your teeth chattering. I don't care what you're in, you know.
My brother said story because
go ahead.
he knows the story about that deer camp and it dropped that cold. He was talking about spooning, and I said, well, you can say what you want, but you didn't hear nobody freezing to death down there. You got to do what you got to do, dude. It was that cold. Your teeth is chattered. I mean, we wasn't expecting that. In fact, the day before we got there, you got sweaty, you got hot because it was 80 degrees, man. And state of Ohio can do that. And so, was I spooning? Well, that's a different story. That's a story we talked about later. But I'm a survivalist too, and you got to understand, to stay. How are you going to stay warm in your pickup truck? Yeah, a lot of us will start it up, fire the heat up, do that. But let's just say you're trying to get out of state because of a natural disaster, forest fire, or whatever, and every highway's backed up. Well, everybody in there, they were running out of fuel. Like in my mom's leaving Florida, they were running out of fuel on the highway because of traffic jam. Well, you could shut your truck off and do an overnighter sitting right there in traffic. You've got plenty of comfort. You got your stove with you. You got to have practicability. This is still a truck. You still need to go to get two befores and everything else with it. But that's a good way just to pull over the side of the road. You've got your grub, you got your water, you got your bed, you got your lamp, you got your stove. You know what I'm saying? So everybody around you is going, hey, man, you got a hot dog? You know what I'm saying? Where I've been on the highway was it shut down because major fatality, major semi crashes, and they've actually shut their cars off. We was telling them, shut your car off, then you're gonna run out of gas. You know what I'm saying? Because the road was down 4 and 5 hours. If you got a half a tank of gas and it's cold out, you're trying to run your heater all the time. Well, it's going to take a tow trucks to get out. It's a long story, but just an all-nighter there, or just maybe 5 hours in the cold weather. At least you crawl back to the truck, stay warm. And we can talk about the candle method. You can bring that up. about
Yeah.
helping the heater with the camera.
Um, Something I learned many, many years ago when I was ground pounding and I was using a U.S. Army pup tent in the winter. And I would set it up and pack around the edge of it pine straw. From the inside, I would pack pine straw out to keep any kind of air draft. You'd make sure the top edge was going away from the wind so the wind wouldn't scoop and come in, it would roll over the top. There were lots of little tricks we learned. Well, a family member told me about leaving a candle. He'd done this in combat, but leaving a candle burning. And so I found these candles that's got those 3 wicks in it. That generates a lot of heat. Okay, you take that and then you put like a big one of them big metal coffee cans upside down on the top of it. Just run you a couple of tent stakes across this and set it on top of it. That's 6, 7 hours of heat. Now, in a small space like a camper shell or something like that, it will seem a lot more than it is. No, it's not going to be like having a roaring fire and you're not going to be able to run around in your t-shirt and your underwear, but it will take the dampness out of the air and keep the actual, there's a second heat source in here besides just you. Now that candle is generating heat as well. And so therefore you got 2 heat sources. The air stays warmer. If the temperature outside is 0, if I can make the inside of that cab 32 degrees, like an igloo, remember, they just put one candle in an igloo and they stay warmer. They never get above freezing, but when the outside's 60 below, 30 above sounds pretty good. Well, it's the same thing with those camper shells. I learned this in being in 18-wheelers, and you'd have to shut your truck off. You think, oh, big old 18-wheeler, it's insulated. Trust me. You think you turned on the air conditioning, the heat will go away so fast in that big rig. And you'll be laying back there on that 2-inch thick mattress freezing to death, even with a good sleeping bag. So you want insulation. You want to trap the heat. So a heat source, a good heat source, and I'm going to cover this when I do my videos. How are we going to seal up that sleeper shell? It's aluminum, okay? Where the camper shell meets the side of the body, you need something in there, some foam, some rubber, something to seal it all the way around. This applies, you plan to one day take this camper shell off. And trust me, being able to take one off is a big advantage because just as soon as you bolt that thing in perfectly and permanently, some family member's got to have a couch moved and you're the only one with a truck.
That's true.
So I make mine where I can take it off. It also makes it easier to do maintenance on it sometimes where I want to flip it upside down and put insulation in the roof of it. We're going to do that in the video. And I'm going to do a cheap, down and dirty redneck way of doing it. But you seal it up there. Now, here's a fact most people don't get. The tailgate of a pickup truck automatically has about a 1/4-inch gap between it and the bed. Why? If there's no cover on it and you're sitting there in that downpour and you get 2 inches of rain, it's supposed to run out of the pickup truck rather than filling up your pickup truck like a bathtub. So when you see in the light some morning, you see a pickup go to pull away and water starts pouring out of the backup. There's a big gap down there. Well, we want to seal that up whenever we're using it as a camper. Because one, going down a dirt road, dust is going to roll in. And you're going to get where you go and you're going to open up the back of the camper shell and everything's covered in dust. That fine dust will come up and go in there. The other thing we want to do is we want to keep heat. Again, we're trying to stop heat loss. So body heat, a candle, whatever, goes up that ceiling. We want to insulate it so it's got to fight its way out. And we don't want any opening it can go out easily. Otherwise, that starts a heat draft. Heat rises up, it's going to suck cold air in at the bottom. And you're laying on the bottom, so you're always cold. And the air up here above your head's warmer. So you want to keep that air down here if possible. So we want to seal along the edge of that tailgate. Even if nothing else, just something I can put in place when I'm going to camp out here tonight. A rolled up long towel. A great thing to do is to go by the Goodwill. And so you got any old towels you want to get rid of? And that's the towels that are junky, look bad. Or just go to Walmart and buy one of them $2 towels that's thin. Stretch it out long, roll it in a tube, and pack it along like you do in a house to stop air going under a door and seal up the tailgate. A dish towel with just a piece of duct tape on either side of the vertical slots for the tailgate will insulate that. Or better yet, and this is something I've done several times, is on the inside of the camper shell along the top, put you a curtain that you can hook up and drop all the way to the bottom. That'll seal everything. Now when that heat goes to the top and it wants to run, it hits that curtain and turns it back down. It don't flow out around the door and go out. Little tricks make your life a whole lot better.
Well, and let's get like anything goes. He's talked about UK's recently 20 gas stations because they don't have enough drivers to deliver the fuel. Right there's a we got the
Mm-hmm.
fuel, but now you run out of fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get to that gas stations. So you might have to overnight it, waiting on they come pick you up with more gas. Trapper Dan, there's a testimonial because when I had my travel pass here, Trapper Dan used the pump with Blackie showing it, and dude, it was 15 degrees outside and
Yeah.
probably dipped close to zero. And Trapper Dan was on the ground, guys, with two military pump tests. Him and Blackie worked together, and he made it through the night. It was bitter cold. I was running super shelter that night. It was bitter cold. So Trapper
I was
Dan
in
can
a hammock.
testify.
You were the one over there complaining you were too hot. And the little Eskimo from Alabama was over there at 17 freaking degrees in a hammock, dude. It was
Yeah, but
85
dude,
when I
I'm
left
from
there and it
Ohio. I
was
knew
17
what
that
it was.
night. Yeah,
I think
you
it was
get up there
15
and it was
degrees outside.
17.
Then my brother said, he's used small tin candles to burn the dew off his tent at nighttime. Just that little bit of heat can
Mhm.
take the humidity out of that tent. One candle. It doesn't seem like it's enough, but like I said, it's not like a roaring fire like Blackie says. But you'll be surprised how much warmer you are. I'm trying to
Mhm.
keep these questions, man. TW, I'm gonna call him TW. That's and a thin yoga mat makes a great foam cut up as insulate, putting gaps.
Mhm.
Exactly. How about the black rolled insulation, for your plumber pipes? That stuff's designed,
Good
you buy it
stuff.
at
Yeah.
Lowe's, and you can cram that down the tailgate and reuse it, every time. Uh,
Mhm.
Let me see, anything goes. Any food factory that uses tomatoes gets them in crates, lines with 1 inch foam. They ship the crates, but do not ship the foam. Uh, this, guys, this is what we're talking about, the budget stuff, the stuff we can scrounge, the stuff in the trash cans. Everybody can go out and we can buy this stuff. We know we can buy it. But me and Blackie's been talking about this for the last couple of weeks, I
Mhm.
guess, maybe a month or so, about how do we do this on a super budget. Can we drive behind Rural King and pick up their cardboard? Can we do that? This is kind of the challenge, guys. I mean, not of us, all of us could go out and buy a $70,000 Jeep. I'm not saying that. I'm saying let's see what we can do to our vehicles free for very little money. You,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? I think it's a good
Well,
challenge for me and Black.
while we're talking
Huh?
about the vehicle, let's talk about what we recommend for a vehicle. Now, I recommend if you're going to look around to find an old pickup truck to be the project. Okay, I'll build on this. One, I recommend you go with either a Chevy or a Ford because parts are available for them going all the way back to the 50s. Classic Trucks is a company that they make virtually every body part. You need a new hood, you need a new door, you need a new cab. They got it. If you got a frame, you can come up. Uh, Chevy 350 engines, universal. 350 transmissions, universal. Every junkyard's got parts for it. So you've got something that you can, A, there's tons of information on it. B, parts are relatively cheap. C, probably somebody you know's got one of these things sitting out behind the barn. Stay away from farm trucks because they're going to run them till they're completely junk. When a farm truck's dead, they call a record to haul it to the junkyard. It's not even worth parts anymore. The best thing you can find is look for an estate sale. Find somebody who this was their favorite vehicle in the world, their old truck. It had a name. They took care of it, and then they passed away. Those are the trucks you want to find because normally mechanically they're great, you know, and it's easy to fix the parts on them. It's easy to find parts. Plus, like we were saying, it's not a big target for thieves because it is older. And I look at it and go, oh, that's just an old truck. They're not going to be in such a hurry to rob you because of it. It's
Well,
easier to
let me
work
jump in there,
on.
Brad.
Huh?
Let me jump in there real quick.
Yeah.
Guys, when I was really hammering the trap line, and I do a lot of road trapping, and everybody I work with knew my truck. My truck's maroon, it's jacked up, it's got an 8-inch lift kit on it, big monster matching cam tail. I mean, it stands out like a sore thumb. I love my Ford truck. Okay, but when I was road trapping, I get home and I'm like, man, I seen you. What were you doing on the highway? What are you doing over there? What are you doing over here? You're everywhere. That's when I started changing vehicles because I didn't want them to know what I was doing. There's sometimes, you're known by your vehicle. I can spot Blackie's Nissan probably 4 miles away now. You,
Mm-hmm.
what's Blackie going over in that car? And that's another talk about the gray man theory. You have your old work truck that's in the barn. You use it on the farm or you use it whatever, and that turned into my trapping truck. Because nobody at work knew what I was doing. You follow me? Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
that good old used vehicle is worth a lot of money too, because it's called incognito, is what we used to call it. I want to catch. Johnson said, "I'm going to catch up on his comments." Jonathan Frisbee, LMC truck. I've used them for years for truck parts. Trapper Dan nicely lifted the Chevy, then Ford. Well, hey man,
Oh,
here we go. Trapper Dan's going to start on this. You know how Chevy guys say hi? Hey.
you know what Fords do every
Sorry.
weekend, right? Stay home and order
Huh?
parts. You know what Fords do every weekend? They stay home and order parts.
Yeah. First on race day, brother. Here we go again. We can
Pound on
start
road.
this.
Yeah.
Uh, Wait a minute. Hiram said 3,000 BTUs. The comments coming in, guys. He's got no Toyota. Before there's computers, see, that's another thing we have to bring up. 3-liter turbo. Vehicle computerized that won't be struck because of blitz. You're right. See, we're talking older trucks. I just traded for a 90 Chevy. They're not running the computers. They're not running all this stuff. And I was shocked that I haven't seen an old truck in a long time. You open it up, there's nothing under the hood but a motor, carburetor. You know what I'm saying? And so, can we fix it on the side road? There's parts available, like in most Chevys. They're a dime a dozen everywhere. You go to every junkyard, and there's Chevys there. A lot of guys like Chevys because they were easy to work on, and their parts availability is a lot more than Ford. Ford makes a harder truck to work on. I ain't gonna lie about that. We just come out of the oil fields, and Ford's outlasted the trucks, really beating them to death. Not daily drivers, but that's my opinion. But like Sean said, I had a '79 Toyota Helix full of Ford. Couldn't kill it. Loved that truck. Dan's apologizing. He's got to. He's a Chevy guy. Old school station wagon. There you go, William. Never thought about that, Blackie. Big old wagon. Who's going to look at that wagon? Brady Bunch wagon. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Down on
An old
road.
van.
Yeah.
An old
Huh?
van that's in decent running shape. Served
Well,
very well.
you know what? Blackie knows what I'm looking for is an old van. That's what I want. Because because I'm going to these events, guys. I'm carrying a lot more products. You know what I'm saying? And if you ordered a bag, hold tight. We're getting them in. We sell out so fast, it's ridiculous. I placed a double order, so I want to bring that up. I forgot to. So just hold tight. You will get your bag. We're just doing that. Uh, I want to get in a truck debate. I got a 2001 Dodge 4x4. Oh man, Dodge just got big mirrors on the side. That's because it got big ears.
Yeah,
Man, I
he's
don't want to
you
start
coming,
like
that's for
this.
sure.
Yeah, Williams said Vista Cruiser. Absolutely. That's what I'm getting at. It's not really the truck we're talking about, but can it be fixed, affordable? Can it be incognito with little rust, little dents? I hated leaving when I fished tournaments. These guys were stealing trailers off the back of your truck. Now you show up to the dock in a bass boat and you got no trailer. These
Mm-hmm.
guys were stealing trucks. I had a Chevy Suburban, all blacked out, matching my boat and stuff. And, I was scared to death because you're out fishing a tournament for 8 hours. Your truck sits there. And if it looks like it's got fancy wheels on it, somebody can block it up and at their leisure and take all the tires off.
Mm-hmm.
I know I ain't telling you to go out and buy an old truck, guys. I'm just telling we're just talking about in theory and how will we get around and stay warm and be okay. But gray man theory of this truck. That's what I'm getting at. Gray Blackie's with me on that.
Mhm. Well, that's one of the
You
things.
know,
I've got a lot of good friends that have new trucks, brand new, beautiful trucks, and that is a good investment. Okay, one, they're scared to really use it because it is an investment and they're still paying it off. So they're really not going to ricochet down through them briars like I am, just push on through the bushes to get down in there and scratch everything up because they want to resell it. If you start out with an older truck that all the parts are available, and let me just touch on that a second. A fellow that worked with me, he started with a frame. Okay, this was a farm truck that had been parked out behind the bunkhouse, and they put the bags of garbage into the bed, and then whenever the thing got full, they'd take jumper cables and get it to crank up, and they'd pull it down to the ditch to throw the stuff out. It'd been that way for 5 years. It was the junk truck, right? He took it. The cab was okay. The rest of it was just trash. So he just stripped it down to a cab and a frame. From LMC and them, he ordered new fenders. He got a new bed. He got from Chevrolet a crate motor to drop in, a brand new transmission, had the rear end worked. He put an all new interior in it. This is state of the art, guys, like rolls off the assembly line today engine with all the electronics and everything. His total cost on that truck, completely custom to him, was $28,000. The same truck to buy on the same equivalent to buy off the line out there was 56,000. So he saved
it's 80 now.
$30,000 right there. But to look
Yeah.
at it, it was 1972.
Well, and that's what you just said. Mine said, new Chevy's 80. Uh, but if I look back, where'd it go? It was about a bus. Beyonce's tour bus, in theory. But look at all the old buses.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be a good bug out vehicle? Plenty of room. You know,
Oh,
nobody's really going to steal a bus. But it's something to think about. Dark Knight Diesel, he's talking about looking for suburban barn doors to rebuild. You know, that suburban, I've had them, man. I slept in my suburban. Why I went to the suburban because they stole all my fishing poles out of a can top on my back of the truck. You can pop that lock so easy, and all my fishing poles were hanging on top. Stole a couple $1,000 worth of fishing poles, and so when I went to suburban, I had the doors locked up, tinted windows. They didn't know it, so that stopped the thievery. Because you go to these tournaments, don't think these guys ain't stealing fishing poles and trolling motors and batteries out of your boat, especially when you're camping. That's why we put the tarps on them real tight and park them next to us. But that's what we got to think about. My brother says, I love LMC, man. You know how many Ford parts I've ordered off LMC, man? It's crazy restoring these trucks. They've got everything. You get a '76 Ford, even a '76 Chevrolet. Pretty much, I think you can't. The only thing you can't get is the actual original cab. Every other nut and bolt you can buy for that truck. If you look at LMC,
I started out with a '75 Chevy C10 when I had bought my little Nissan, and my Nissan was the new truck. I didn't want to scratch it up, and I wanted to work. I wanted a camping truck, a fishing truck, whatever, getting a mud truck, haul gravel in it truck. And so I bought a '75 Chevy C10 with an inline six engine in it, and it cost me $350. Okay, it had been a game warden truck originally. It had this huge 12-bolt rear end. Over the years, I found other trucks like that somebody was getting rid of. All right, I don't care about that anymore. Well, can I have the doors off of it, or can I have whatever? The one part that nobody had, and I looked for nearly a year, was the windshield wiper switch. Believe it or not, you get the motor, you get everything, but that switch, nobody made it. And the Chevy wiper motors had 5 hot wires coming off of it, not a single ground on it. I don't know how it worked. A buddy of mine that was a big mechanic, he took me in there and he showed me. He said, "Here is the complete shop manual for all the Chevy C Series pickups. It's about 2 inches thick." Then he put a 3.5 inch thick book up there and said, "That's the book on just that wiper motor." He said, "I've only seen one guy that could ever make it work on a bench, and that was a guy that spent 30 years at GM." So it's one of them oddities of it. Every part's available for those era Fords and Chevys. Oftentimes you can get equivalent or exactly the same engine. You go buying one today, it'll bolt in, and you're saving a whole lot. So you got reliability, you got parts availability. This could be a project where I don't have to have a big initial investment. I can get one and work on it. What are your needs? I need something I can go camping and fishing on. Okay. Will you feel better going camping and fishing on your $45,000 pickup truck that you just bought that you're going to leave while you're going out on that tournament? Like Dan was just talking about, you're going to worry somebody's going to bust out, get the radio out of it, steal the expensive stuff out of it. Airbags, that's a big thing to steal today. A lot of them, the catalytic converters, that's a big thing to steal today. That's
still like crazy.
Them nice, beautiful custom rims you got on there. Woo! I can spin that puppy off and leave it sitting on blocks in 20 minutes. Well, at the same time, you want to take that, or you want to take this $350 Chevy pickup you picked up that looks like hell, but it's mechanically sound and will drive you there and tow your trailer. And if you come back and somebody backed into it, oh well, new dent. It has a distinct advantage. And in the camper shell, you can get very high dollar camper shells, guys, but for what we're talking about, the aluminum camper shells, those tin can aluminum camper shells that are $200. A lot of times you can find them at estate sales for $50. And
I was before this show. I was looking, and I found them free, almost for free to $200 for aluminum camper. There's a nice one in West Kentucky, free. Get it out of here. That looked brand new. He said it's brand new. And I was like, daggone, if I run to Louisville, Kentucky, fit on that shit. But that's what I'm talking about. How much money can we not spend doing this? You know what I'm saying? How do we scrounge this stuff and do stuff like that? So it's we're trying to be realistic on the people that can't afford, the nicer trucks. But like he said, you're going to go out and buy a brand new Chevy or Ford and then take it on the trap line with it. Man, I mess with steel traps. You can't believe what my bed looks like. My cam top door is gone because I wore it out. How many times? You know how many times I lifted that door up? I lifted up most of the time because it just kept wearing out until I broke the glass up. So, but because my truck's jacked up, it still stands out. We're talking standard incognito pickups. Just nobody wants to steal it because they probably have to put gas in it to steal it. One of them trucks.
And here's you get one with a standard transmission. Most people today can't shift it, so they're not going to steal it. They can't shift it.
Yeah, Sean said SEP, someone else's problem. People leave junk alone, and it's true. They ain't going to steal junk.
That's it.
I'm reading. Go ahead, Blackie.
I pulled up at our mall down this large city down near me in Dothan, and I had that old S10, and I'd had a problem with the ignition where you couldn't turn it off. You could crank it, but you couldn't turn it far enough back to turn it off. So you'd have to get out and snatch the battery cable off to turn it off. I was in the process of getting the part, but it's Christmas. I pulled up down there at the mall and just stopped in the parking lot and left it running, and I went inside. I came back out about 45 minutes later toting these packages, and my pickup truck was about 100 feet from where I started, 2 aisles down, and someone was in it going, trying to figure out how to shift a 3 on a tree, and they couldn't do it. I just walked up and said, "Get out of my truck," and they took off running. They couldn't steal it because they couldn't figure out how to shift the gears in it. And what do you need? I need a reliable vehicle. We can get that. I need to be able to go camping and have a camper shell on the back of it. So I've got a base operations. I can either carry cargo and keep it out of the elements, i.e. that. Something that I can throw a tarp over the stuff on the inside and then lock the door, and it's not as easy for somebody to look in the window and see something they want to steal. Now, locking the doors. Let's touch on that a minute. The doors have a lock. That ain't worth a whole lot because you can just grab the tailgate and jerk, and the tailgate will pop out from under it. So you need some way to connect them. So what I did in the past was I took a piece of tubing, clear tubing, and I ran a small chain through it. It was long enough to drop and go around my bumper, come up to that handle, and then I went around that handle and put a padlock on it. Well, the rubber kept it from making a hole and rubbing the paint on my tailgate. But now you can't open it, and you can't open the tailgate because the two of them are connected. That was a way to do it to keep people from just snatching it out and going in your stuff. If they want it bad enough, they're going to bust the glass. So the object of the game here is to keep your important stuff hidden out of sight, out of mind, and keep the stuff that they may want to steal it, put it out of the way, throw a dirty tarp over it, camouflage it somehow, or when they look in the back, they don't see anything worth stealing. It's not worth their time. Now, back in my day, everybody had a gun rack in the back of the truck. You wouldn't do that today, but you go to every place, even in high school, you go out there and there'd be a truck sitting there and have a rifle and a shotgun sitting in the truck. In the middle of summer, that was the gun rack. You left the gun in the gun rack. We don't do that no more.
Yeah, and that's now with you can actually get seat cushions that you can slide a shotgun on the front of your seat where your legs are at. It's a pocket. I've had them. You know what I'm saying? Now, you get in trouble because you're carrying a concealed weapon, but it's out of sight, out of mind. Nobody knows that front long tube is in there, and you can put a shotgun in. But we're talking weapons and stuff, but remember, guys, this is all budget stuff. This is for the guys that don't have the big money. The younger guys, man. The younger guys trying to get into bushcraft, and trying to go with us, and they ain't got the money for the hammocks, and they ain't got the money for their big tents. How many times we've been at an event, Black, and we've seen guys sleeping in their cars? It's pretty common, man.
Fairly common.
We see that. And to look at that and say, hey, can we get by with this? I would love, I love my hammock, don't get me wrong. But, in them cold, windy days, man, it's nice to crawl, to block all the wind. And that's what we got to talking about. I like Anything Goes made a comment, good suggestion. I got 3 of them aluminum truck cats for free on Craigslist. I put pallets under them and made little sheds. So now he's got a daggone shed in the backyard, with aluminum, with a great roof. Aluminum's not going to be bad.
I've seen tons of those turned into dog houses. I've seen tons of those aluminum.
Say it again, Black. You're going in and out.
So any kind of thing where, like you said, the door finally gives way, that hinge finally gives up, and they just get another one because they were cheap. They'd take the old one, and that would get a wooden door put in it, or it would become a dog pen, or it'd become a whatever because it's aluminum. It never rots. Works real good. I put on top of mine.
Yeah.
You got ridges that go across. I got on the top, put a 2x4 on the exterior of mine with eye bolts that bolt through. Now I've got a rack. I can put a canoe, a boat, poles, ladder, whatever up there, and it not be on the aluminum. It's got something that's structurally anchored, so I could carry cargo. Now, yes, you could get up there and put a platform and be able to just, on mine, close the door, stand up on the tailgate, and be able to get up on it and have a platform to put a tent on if you wanted it. But the whole purpose of this is sleep inside. I want this to be a camper because, like, if you're going to hunt, you get off work Friday, you come home, have dinner with your wife and everything. But instead of going to bed at home, go ahead and get your hunting stuff and everything, take your camper, go on to where you're going to hunt, park on the side of the road, climb in the back, set your little alarm, and get up at 4 a.m. and already be there. You're not coming in and disturbing the game by the truck. Just be quiet getting in and out of the truck. How many times have you ever slept in the front seat of a truck, Dan, because you're going hunting in the morning? It's a common thing.
I did not like showing up to my hunting area at dark. Why not spend the night? Like you said, you crawled out of the backup, you're ready to go hunt. And, you got to leave the house, get all ready, get coffee and everything from the house. Just you're already there. That's why we used to go to deer camp. We didn't have the conveyance like we do today. We didn't have all these, luxuries like we did today. So we didn't have Sunday hunting in Ohio. So Sunday, everybody loaded all their stuff up, grabbed your food. We never left the hunting camp for 6 days. It was different. Today, you see a ton of hunters getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get out there and get all set up and everything. Uh, we were like, ain't no way, man. We drove the fire. We had coffee in the morning, and we were all taking off our shotguns. First day of gun season. So
Mhm.
Trapper Dan said that. He said, I saw an interesting use for a rack, and that's carrying an axe and a bow and a saw. There you go in the back window. Most people ain't gonna steal an axe.
Mhm.
They don't know how to use them.
Well,
But
now
like your bow
talking about
saw
like
there,
the
it'd be a
Chevy
good
guy,
addition. Anything.
the Chevy that I had that was kind of like yours. When you lift the hood, there's an engine and there's tons of room up under the hood. I carried an axe and a shovel under the hood. There was enough room for me to mount it on the underside of my hood, and it still cleared the engine. So when you lifted up my hood, here was an axe and here was a shovel. You know, and the axe, I had a rubberized head that went over it to protect it from spray and water and etc. And the handle wasn't going to rot anytime soon. It was heavy lacquered. And I'm checking the oil on that thing, every 3 or 4 days. So I maintained it, didn't let anything go bad. But that was a big advantage. I mean, and nobody thinks to look under the hood. You can put storage boxes under the hood anchored to the frame or the fender and put gear up there in watertight boxes. I've seen several guys take 20 millimeter cans and put inside the fenders up there, out of sight, out of mind, and have it padlocked. Well, remember we talking about stealing stuff? They're
Right?
gonna bust
You
it. Have
got
me
your
going, look.
latch inside, of course.
Yeah, hook it and you're
Yeah.
good. What are they gonna
And,
steal out there? They're gonna try to get your battery, if anything. Probably not that. So they don't look
yeah.
bad.
And the inside hood latch, protects a lot. You can have a toolbox underneath your hood. Anything goes said that, he didn't want to drive with an axe behind his head. Yeah, I kind of see your point, about carrying it. But we've got storage. We got to have a lockable storage on it. Like you brought up a good point underneath the hood. I used to see toolboxes mounted under there. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? I mean, because in my day, and Blackie's old enough that the trucks and cars didn't have an inside hood latch. They stole batteries like crazy
Mm-hmm.
because they just reach under your hood and lift it up. Then all the car companies finally put the inside hood latch, so it makes it a lot harder. The old Ford and Chevys, you just stand by the grill and lift the hood up. If you seen a guy walk away, you stole his battery, whatever, carburetors, everything. And so, but with the inside hood latches, like on this '90 Chevy, it's inside. I can mount a toolbox there. You can keep a lot of stuff on the hood. There's a lot more room under that than a model vehicle. So
Mm-hmm.
good point there. You know,
And okay, now what
sorry about that. I'm
we're talking
choking.
about making a camper here. Being able to rig a tarp off the back of it. So you got a permanent camp, so to speak. I'm going to pull up. I'm going to gauge how far away from a tree I want to be. Backing up the tree, I'm going to stop. Lift my camper shell open my tailgate out. I got a hook place up here. I hook a line that runs to that tree. And then I have a tarp that goes over and I come out and anchor my 4 points. I got a pre-made up shelter sitting there. Well, now it's a base of operations. I pull out my cook set. I can cook on the tailgate or I can carry a small separate table to have. I bring out my chair. My bed's already made up. I don't have to worry about bringing out anything. Use every inch of space. My fishing gear and my guns are over here on the left on a rack I built in here to keep it out of the way. It's a complete set. My water, I've got a 5 gallon water bag that came out of Swiss. It goes around on the, looking at the back on the right hand side and hangs off one of those 2x4s I put across the top. All right, there's my water supply. Around on the other side where I got those 2x4s coming across, I have 2 2x2s that drop in and wing nut in place. And then on the end of them, I have a tarp that I come up and I wing nut on the end of it and then pull around. Now you got a private place. That's a place I can take a shower. That's a place I can put a potty. Now, if you're going to a camping area and you don't have facilities, you got to be able to move around. I'm gonna make it where my truck don't move easy because I got a tarp hook. I can't just jump in the truck and run to the outhouse. It's a half mile that way. We use a porta potty, which is just a bucket with bags, cat litter, and a toilet lid that snaps on. I can put it up under that tarp out of sight where I got room. For a shower, you get one of the small 2-gallon garden sprayers that you pump up. Fill it about halfway full of water, put a kettle on the fire, heat it up, pour that in there, heat it up as hot as you want, put the thing in, screw it in, pump it up, and I got a shower. I can step into that area, sit down on a little stool, and I can take a full shower, and I'm completely blocked off from view from anybody. So now I can take a bath. I got my own outlet. I can go to poop if I've got to. I've got a way to carry water on the other side, and I've got a way to cook on the tailgate, and I've got a tarp to get me out of the elements and a chair to sit down and enjoy. I'm living. It don't take me 5 minutes to set it up. I need to move. 5 minutes, I can take it down. I can crank up, and we're gone.
And see you later, TW. Hey, James, try to get these shouts in. But you just extended your living quarters by the size. You doubled the living quarters by a tarp hooked to your truck.
Yeah.
You know, because we can live outside. We can cook. We have a fire out there. You know, we've got more space by, you know, Blackie's got a little truck. Let's do his 8-foot bed. If I used a 16-foot long tarp, put 3 foot, 4 foot over top of my camper, you know, it's going to leave me 10 foot of living space outside the back of my truck. You know, so now I've doubled my living space just with the plastic tarp and bungees to hook it to the camshaft, you know, or to the truck to hold it there. Like he said, back in the 2 trees, we get the angle up for the water runs over top of the cam top, you know, done over that end of it. We've got rain, we've got shade, you know, like I said, and it doesn't interfere with closing tailgate and the cam top, you know, lid at night, you know, you want to shut down.
Mm.
So
if you get a
that's,
US
you know,
Army
I've
mosquito
seen
net
them pulled
that
off.
goes over a cot, you can run a cord through it and just open up your door, drop down your tailgate, and take the cord and just run around and tie it, and it will make a full mosquito door going across the entire back end of your camper with plenty of space to tuck in holes and, you know, make sure you don't have an opening or whatever. Well, now you can get in there and leave the tailgate open with your tarp and everything else and keep the mosquitoes and stuff out of your sleeping area, you know, so I can have a fan on me. I don't have to be closed up in the winter. I can close it all up and have heat retention. It gives us multi setups. I don't have to be limited by one setup that way. Which now, how long is your bed? 8 feet?
Yeah. And I was looking at, Blackie, you're coming in and out for me, man. It's getting really jittery for me. So,
Sorry.
what was the question? How long was
How long is the bed on
the
your
bed on my
pickup
truck's
truck?
8 foot? On the Chevy, it's 8 foot. On my Ford, it's 6.5 feet.
I
So,
think my little Nissan is a 6 foot bed, with a
you know,
cot
so
just like
6.5 feet. Yeah, that 6.5 was barely enough for me. I can't stretch out in it. I want to get some questions here. Anything goes. You know, is a bug out bicycle worth having on your kit? Well, yeah, why not? You could go down with a bow and arrow. You can creep in on some deer on a bicycle trail on a gravel road. You know, you're going to be a lot more quieter than firing a pickup truck up. So we didn't even talk about the bug out bicycle. That's a whole new program out there because of the silent. You know, running silent, running dark. You know, and you can pick it up and go into the bushes with it. So you can disappear pretty fast. That's a whole new show, guy. I don't want to get into it. Hey, thanks, Tennessee Smokey, for joining us. He had some good comments out there. Uh, look up Bud Collin on YouTube. He with a trailer from Michigan to Florida, mainly stealth camping the whole way. Very interesting channel. Yeah, that's a whole new just the bug out bicycle, the whole show. We're talking, you know, conveyance, man. It's all about the conveyance. Uh, you know, but yeah, could we put a bicycle on top of that? Well, the bicycle uses no fuel. You know what I'm saying? To get around camp or doing some recon. You know, people. There's some stories in Germany during the German War that the pilots were cat. were shot down and captured in Germany, and they escaped from the one of Stock 13. The real story is this guy stole bicycles for almost 3 months. He would ride a bicycle so far, steal another one, and kept jumping bicycles. And he rode his way out of Germany into freedom. So how important was that? And he looked just like every German out there. You know what I'm saying? I'm just doing my thing on my bicycle. And he would go right through the German camp or right through German checkpoints. And because he was on a bicycle. No prisoners will have a bicycle. They assumed that they did. So how valuable is that bicycle? When you read about the Stock 13, the true, he was one of the very few that made it out. But I forget how many. I think he did hundreds of miles on bicycles. And the story was he kept stealing them. So how important is that bicycle? Well, to me, it's very important. And you don't have to spend a lot of money on a bicycle. It's not a high speed. We're not working out. We're just using it as transportation. Here in Ohio, we got bicycle paths with a railroad. Man, I can get all through town on bicycle paths. It's all wooded down there. We won't talk about seeing deer on a bicycle. We won't talk about that. But it's very stealth. They're not afraid of the bicycles. A lot of critters on the bike trails are used to it. They walk out from a bicycle. Oh, ain't that cute?
Plus, bicycle attached in this kit, either hung off the tailgate or whatever, doesn't add a big deal. But if the truck breaks down, you got transportation, you got a bicycle to try to get help. If the truck gets stuck, you got transportation. You can park the truck and use the bicycle to scout the area quietly, much quieter than an ATV or something like that. You don't spook the game, you don't whatever. And it just gives you another asset. And again, if it's something you go pick up at the pawn shop for $50, what's the worst looking bicycle you got? Make it functional, but make it look like, God, that thing's about to fall apart. No one wants to steal it. My godson, when he went to college, he had 4 different bicycles stolen within a year because everybody knows that the new guys on the big campus, they're going to have a brand new bicycle. And so the crooks run around and steal bicycles and then take them to Atlanta and sell them to the pawn shops. And he had 4 good, nice bicycles stolen. So I found him one in a pawn shop. God, it looked like all hell. I took some spray paint. It had 4 different colors on it. I took duct tape and went around the tire in one place. I mean, it looked like it was falling apart. He rode that bike the next 3 years at college. Nobody would steal it because it looked like it was coming apart. It was structurally sound, but we camouflaged it a little bit and made it look a lot worse than it was. And because of that, nobody would steal it. When he finally left college, he just gave it to somebody else, and they're still probably using it.
Yeah. And like anything just goes, get them free. I've seen them in the trash all around Xenia on trash day. There's nothing wrong with the bike. They just quit riding it, so they end up against the trash can.
Yeah.
I've got plenty of bikes that way. Dark Knight, man, he was talking about have we ever used solar. I was a big solar guy. I'll give you some tips about some solar stuff that I know. Is Harbor Freight, you can buy solar panels at Harbor Freight. The key to solar and using solar panels is you have to have a way to regulate it in a battery because they can overcharge a battery, and that comes with the kit. I also want to give you a good point on solar is on 12 volt. And remember, every light bulb on a vehicle is 12 volt. So it's very easy to light up your vehicle. We're using their bulbs or a tail light out of a vehicle or a headlight out of a vehicle to run, a lighting system that you need. And you can charge batteries, 3 or 4 batteries. You can put double batteries, dual truck batteries in your vehicle. You can actually charge them off a lead off your vehicle. And they make where the lead comes from the main battery to the other batteries. And I did this on my service trucks. And we put a diode in line for the battery in the truck would crank and do all that, but it would not reverse the power back to my other battery in my truck. It was a storage place. But when I could flip a switch, I could jump start a pickup truck. What that does, it's called an isolator. Isolates the batteries. So if you fell asleep with your dome light on and the batteries went dead, it wouldn't drain the vehicle from the truck. But one positive cable, a ground cable, I charge it when I'm moving. So there's one good way of solar. It's not solar. It's charging while you're just driving down the road and you forget about it. But if you're going to be at long term, one solar panel will charge them batteries up. But remember, you can go to buy a little truck bulb, take them out of old cars. Them are all 12-volt bulbs. You can use that socket to light up your camper. So solar's got a very good spot to it. But remember, we've got to multiply. If you guys been driving down the highway, and if you look at the state of Ohio, we have little windmills and solar panels on the middle highway. That tells us weather. We have pucks in the road that tells us the temperature, if it's frozen, if it's got snow, if it's wet. We have sensors in the road for that. If you look at the little windmills on there, you could take that little windmill, set it on top of your truck, and still be generating on them windy days electricity. So now you got three ways: the charging system on the truck, the solar panel, and the wind. So when three things, these are small wind chargers. So if we look at multiple things, look how much electricity I got. It will still run my CB radio for communications, my ham radio, my GMRS radio. That's three ways of communication that I can be charging that system. You know what I'm saying? But I still have something about turning on the light at night, getting ready for bed. Your whole camper will be lit up. But it isolates it from your motor truck. And that way, like I said, if you fall asleep, you don't run the battery down in your truck and you can't start your truck. So there's a lot of ways we can go with this. The thing is I'll give you a little clue on a bug out situation. Let's just say we went off grid. Let's just say it all collapsed on us. Well, I just told you where I'd get my solar power, my wind power, and everything. So you didn't hear that from me, but you understand these ideas. It's there, and it's really not that expensive to get this stuff. We're not talking high dollar stuff. Harbor Freight has and stuff. I'm reading more comments. Jonathan Frisbee had a bug out. Seen it out on camper trailer, having guys with solar power in camper trailer. Not much can often found. Oh, I'm catching up. The battery saver police. Yeah, use a battery saver from a police car. That's what I have in my car to keep the battery. Yeah, you can buy all kinds of isolators. It's the batteries are very expensive today. So you go find good batteries. I'm actually certified as a battery technician. I know how to repair a car battery. That's what's crazy, and get it back to life. So they are reusable. They are fixable. A lot of people don't understand you can fix a battery, but them's the stuff that you want to know and understand that we can do long term in a pickup truck. Lord, I wouldn't want to go through the winter every day in my pickup truck, but I could do it. But that's what we're looking at. We're trying to keep this for the common guys. You know what I'm saying? That's why I hate to rehash on that, but I like the challenge of, can we do this on very low budget? Now, Blackie's going to have a series of YouTube videos out on this subject right here. Him building, or his setup, what he would use at his area, because he's not going to be as good at it up here in Northern Ohio or Vermont or New York, because of the cold temp. But let's watch him and look at the ideas and watch Blackie, build his setup and what he would use. You don't have to build it; he's got most of it. But it's going to be a good series of videos. I want to encourage you.
It's one of those things where we take what we've got and make what we need. I want the capability to be able to use this as a base camp. I want the capability of being able to camp for a week or more out of this easily. So I've got to have a cooking ability. I've got to have food storage ability. I've got to have water storage ability, water replenishment ability. I've got to be able to have everything that I need in any of the environments during the year, and be able to get myself out of trouble? Do I have a self rescue set? Can I dig myself out? Do I have a good jack? I got a full size spare. I don't run donuts. I run full size spares. And all the things. Now, one of the things I'm going to be doing is taking my camper shell off, flipping it upside down. I'm going to be insulating the roof. While it's off, I intend to put some of those little LED light strips in. They sell them at Walmart. They're not high dollar. They're hanging on a card, and they got a little old battery in it, and you press the button and it lights up to show you how bright it is. Think of how little juice that thing pulls. That a battery on a card can power this thing for months for people to turn it on and test it, hanging on a shelf without having to have a big old battery. I mean, it's like a watch battery. And yet, that's able to power that. Well, if I hook it into a 12 volt, it ain't going to drain that battery down. And anything realistic. I'm not going to run it all night. But being able to.
We're talking milliamps on that.
Oh, yeah. And I don't need 20,000 looms. I need enough to light this area where I can see to maneuver around. I'll set my bed up where I'm comfortable, where I can sit up and read if I want to. I got air. I'm going to rig up a fan and show you how I rig up a fan. I'm going to show you how I insulate it for winter, how I'm going to rig up one of these candles or a kerosene lamp as a heater for the dead of winter to try to give me a little bit more warmth. Show you how to rig up a shower in it. Show you how to hook up tarps, things like that. It needs to be quick to set up, no tools to set it up, and easy to take apart and get going again because conditions may change. I may have to bug out in a hurry for whatever reason. I won't be able to take everything down and get going in 5 minutes. So it's got to fit in a slot to come out and go back in that slot. Do, 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 do. Close tailgate, crank up, let's go. Do I have the ability to deal with a dead battery? Something happened. You forgot and left this on, whatever. I want some way of jumping myself off, getting it going again. I want some way to self-repair in the field for the minor things. I need at least a way to dig and at least some way to cut trees and stuff under the wheels to get me up and get me out of mud. Some redneck rescue techniques. Most of the trucks I've had most of my life, I was poor. I couldn't afford a real nice four-wheel drive with 8 inches of lift like some people I know. You ought to see me trying to climb into his truck. It's comical.
You couldn't even get in it.
I had to get a hop to get up into that thing. But Sasquatch.
They ain't lying. He had trouble getting in my pickup.
Well, dadgum, I mean, the damn step is even with a belt buckle when I walk up to it, okay? That's a tall horse. And, because of that, I want to be able to get into it, be comfortable, and have the resources I need. I'll show you tips and tricks on how to disable that vehicle. So when I'm leaving it here and I'm going to be on the far side of that lake for the next 12 hours, I'll show you a down and dirty couple little tricks on these old trucks. That sucker, they can steal out of it, but they ain't stealing the truck. They ain't cranking it, period. It's something simple that you can just do that and you're done. At the same time, I want to be able to get parts everywhere. Tips and tricks of like on the back of my owner's manual I keep in the glove box. It says this is what the oil filter is. This is what the hoses to the radiator are. I've got all my parts listed. So if I need that in the field, I can call somebody and say, bring me this. Not go ask what fits. I know what the number is. Bring me this hose. Bring me this alternator. Bring me this battery, whatever. And that will be listed. That's part of the thinking ahead. So you got it set up. It needs to be, like old Nesmunk said, we're going to smooth it. I want to be able to back up, set up, not be a big deal, and now I can enjoy hunting, fishing, just hanging out by the lake, build a fire out here, kick my feet up, enjoy life. My bed's right there. Bring my extra hammock, sling it between them two trees. Beautiful. Be able to have extra friend come with me and have, like my little old truck, the passenger seat lays down flat. Well, it's big enough I can put a couple of pads in it, and you can actually sleep in the cab in that seat. Anybody but him. A normal sized human being can sleep in there pretty easy. So I got a bed in the
Nothing
back and
going
a
on
bed
more.
there. So I got a spare place for you to sleep, so to speak. You look at all the little details and find out how it's going to work. I'm not going to show you all the tricks because this is my truck, but like I told people, you always should secure a spare key on that vehicle. Now, those little bitty black boxes, forget it, they're junk. You hit a hard railroad track, it's going to fly off. People, oh, stick it on the front. No, it won't. Here's one I'll tell you. This isn't how I'm doing mine, but here's one I'll tell you. Take a key, have another key made up. This is for these old trucks that didn't have electronics again, remember? It ain't got to be a big old huge key fob, it's just a key. Take a drill a big hole in it. You know that screw that holds your car tag in? Put it on the back of the tag and duct tape it and run the screw through that hole. It'll be there. You can take a pocket knife and take it off. So if you lock yourself out of your vehicle in the middle of nowhere, you got a key to get in. I can tell you where the key is at, so to speak. If I get injured and I have a way of communicating and they have to come get me and I got to call you to go get my truck because I'm on an ambulance, I'm gone. I can tell you how to get a key and crank my truck and bring me my truck, take my truck home. A lot of people don't think about that. Well, I've got my key. Is that the only key in the world that fits this truck? What if you lose that key? We're always talking about if I lost my haversack or if I lost my gear. What if you lose your car key and you're 20 miles in? Yeah. Where's your phone at? Well, I got my
And
phone
that,
open. What if it's dead? The charging ability. You need charging ability. Something that you said a minute ago, I fully agree with. Some sort of charger, solar charger, and for low money, I know Campcraft carried them. Radio Shack had them. I think Walmart even carried them, and it was a block about this big, and it had slots in it for double A's, triple A's, and D size batteries, and it's a solar charger. Well, I pop in my batteries and turn it upside down and sit it on the dash of my truck. It's charging up while I'm going down the road. So there's my flashlight batteries. There's my little lantern batteries. There's my headlamp batteries. I always got a fresh, hot supply ready to go if I need it. Okay, you talk now.
well, okay. Well, he's got a good point. And I was sitting there thinking about, using your backup key on my motorcycle. There was a backup key, a plastic key on that bike. They actually make it. Uh, like on this 90 Chevy, I was sitting there with this because these are non-electronic engines. You can carry a spare distributor cap. I mean, a spare rotor button. The obvious thing that's going to let you go down, it's so simple, but they're very hard to fix in the field. They don't cost nothing. You can get them at a junkyard. You can find a used cap at the junkyard and say, hey, that's my backup. Maybe a couple plug wires. Because on these old trucks, what really stops them from running? Maybe an extra fan belt. I mean, we're not talking, rebuilding the motor out here, but the basic necessity and enough hand tools to adjust the belt, to let the alternator loose, to change the belt. We should have this in our vehicles anyway, driving back and forth to work. I got lazy because I work 3.3 miles from my house. I mean, I could pretty much walk home. But I know guys who were driving an hour, hour and a half, one way, and daggone tow bill is ridiculous because you didn't carry a fan belt. Well, these modern vehicles run one belt for everything. You blow that belt, that truck's dead in the water. It's a piece of junk. So
Mm-hmm.
how many people carrying their service belt? Well, what I do is when I put a new belt on my vehicle, I take that old belt and put it behind the seat. It's old, it's cracked up, but it'll get me home. And so that's
That's
another tip on your vehicle.
get me home.
Uh, like Blackie said, I run a high lift jack in my truck. Well, because my truck is jacked up so high. A regular jack won't work on it, but the high lift is designed to winch that out. My truck was laying on its side on a beaver dam by myself, super muddy. It was the weirdest thing you ever did because when I slammed the door on the truck, I was holding the door handle and the whole truck went away from me. And I'm trying to reach in and hit the brake pedal. Well, it doesn't matter. The truck's sliding sideways. It doesn't matter. There was a little bitty tree about this big around, a little dent in my bed held the tree from going all the way down and rolling over. Here I am. I get my toolbox. I got all my gear out. I stretch out my straps and that high lift jack. And believe it or not, you're only stuck about this far. Once you got stuck in a place like that, unless you keep rocking it and fighting it and burying it into the frame, you're only stuck about that far. So it didn't take much to get that truck back. I'd get in the truck, I started up 4-wheel drive, give her all kinds of gas, get it up, lock it up, sit the brake, put it in park, run out, take my high lift jack, put more tension on it, and I kept doing that until I got that truck out. Now I was a lot younger and a lot more energy, but we have to have self rescue and you have to have common sense on it. Uh, but you can buy tracks. One of my favorite things is truck claws. You guys can look them up. They're a monster to get your truck out. I have them in my wife's. It's front wheel drive car. You hook them to your wheel, big rubber block. Man, it just digs, and it's not for driving down the road. It's just getting out. Most people want to get stuck in 1 or 2 feet. Once you get 2 feet past backing up, you're out. You're done. So it's something to think about. And we've got to find room in our vehicles, and we've got to be very organized in our vehicles to do this. Toolboxes, under the hood storage, like under the back of the seat storage. How many passengers you're carrying. Man, I'm getting a ton of comments. I like anything goes. I do the same thing. You watch paint markers on what filter. I actually go one step farther. I put the wrench size for my oil drain. 14 millimeter. I put my oil filters there. That way I know. Let's say, man, I was bugged out. I was away from the house yet. My oil change way done. I stopped my Napa. I know I need a 14 millimeter wrench and this filter to take my oil. Or maybe I hit something and knocked a hole in my filter. It's stuff like that you've got to think about. That you write down all that information. Like I said, even go as far as put if you got an older truck, rotor button on it, the part number of that motor button in the glove box. Have all your part number ready to go. Make it call a Napa. You put that in stock, that'll save you gas and time because they ain't got it in stock. You know what I'm saying? So there's much more. I want to read this. Tennessee Smokies, the camp chair cook set, trapping off side of the camper top. You can get pretty extensive with truck camping kit. Tennessee, yeah. You can go overboard on this, and that's what we call the overlanders. They got some serious stuff. That's great. Not dogging them, but we're talking budget. We're talking, can I buy on budget? Steve Kingsbury, nice to have you on the show. When doing periodic maintenance, save the old distributor cap rotor plugs in peace. They will work. Excellent. That's what we was talking about. Excellent idea. Nothing keep wrong with 8 spark plugs, 4 spark plugs in a plastic bag behind the seat. You might never need them. But what if? Just what if? Lonnie Long, I ain't seen you on there.
Those engines from that time are so simple. They're so easy to troubleshoot. Do I have spark? So one of those, you get them at the parts house, you unplug a spark plug, you plug it in, and you plug the spark plug wire into the other end of it, and it's got a little light that blinks. I can turn it over and tell, is my electrical system working, period. Instead of me trying to figure out all the parts, if the spark is making it all the way to the spark plug, the electrical system's working. Now it's fuel. So am I not getting fuel? So that's fuel filter. Fuel filter's cheap. Learn how to change one. It's real simple. I can change one on that truck about that big. It looks awful big for that little truck. But it's simply a hose clamp on top with a piece of rubber on top and bottom. Swiss Army knife, 5 minutes, I can change it. So if I'm not getting fuel, that's my first suspect. Is there fuel in the tank? Yeah. Change that filter. That filter's cheap. It's got water. It's got something clogged it up, and I'm not getting the fuel to it. So do I have spark? Do I have fuel? What's left is compression. And you don't fix compression real easy in the woods. But you drove it here. So the odds are, if I turn the key and she ain't firing up, does it have spark? Click. Yes, it's got spark. Is my battery dead? Another little cheap tester you pick up that got 2 leads, and all you do is you just touch some things and does the light come on. Okay, I got power in the battery. That eliminates a lot of questions. I'll go over this when I do the stuff talking about the truck, but there's a simple troubleshooting list you run down. So if nothing else, if you still don't get it going, when you call somebody else, you can say, I have a problem with the fuel pump maybe or whatever. I have a problem. It is a dead battery. So they know. Maybe they can bring a battery to get you jumped off or whatever. But I've had people call me, and I'm sure Dan's done this too, because I've got a little bit of knowledge on stuff enough to be dangerous. And I've had people call me up and say, my truck won't go and I'm stuck down here. We went hunting this morning and I turned the key and it ain't doing nothing. Okay, what do you mean it ain't doing nothing? It ain't doing nothing. Okay. I'm thinking stone cold dead battery, you left the dome light on or something, right? So here I load up with a battery, jumper cables, everything, and I come to you. And I get there and find out they didn't put it fully in park. It's still sitting in reverse where they turned it off. Click, it fired right up. If they'd done a simple check of is everything where it's supposed to be, make sure everything's in park, they would have known it and it would have fired up. But we'll go over that. We'll go over a simple checklist on these old trucks to at least have a working idea of why it ain't. 9 times out of 10, it's something so obvious, you go click and it'll fire right up. Carry a few extra fuses. Fuses go out. Here's how to open up and look at these old timey fuses at the glass tube. And if it's blowed, you know it. You can look at it and tell. That helps a lot of troubleshooting out there in the field and keeping these vehicles on the road. There's a reason these now 50-year-old trucks are still on the road. These old 70s, 80s, 60s trucks are still on the road today. They are so
Yeah,
simple to
and
work
then
on.
I want to get back. Uh, Now I want to get to Lonnie. He said, solar challenge seems to be a battle on one's business on Facebook now. How can I decide which one's the best? Well, that comes down to research, man, and understanding how much power and batteries they got in them. Uh, I have a couple cheap for my cell phones because I get to these events, and they take forever to charge my iPhone, but they do charge my iPhone. You've got to buy the best. You can spend Jackery's got the name behind it, and all, but they're very expensive and they charge fast. But it's all about the research of what batteries you want, how long it's going to last, and how much power you need, and how much money you need. We're still talking on budget stuff. So you've got to do your homework on that. And I need to do more homework on that myself. I just run cheap chargers, guys, and I got them gifted to me for gifts. I don't know what they were. I still keep them in my tub in my hammock. When I get in there and plug myself in at night, the other thing is Hiram said, budget is contingent on need. Oh well, you know what I'm saying. Uh, yeah, if you go extremely cheap, that's what you get. What you pay for. We're understanding. We're talking cheap insulation, talking cheap on cam tops, talking cheap like that. Uh, like anything goes, he said I had an International Scout mechanical fuel pump nonstop problem. These vehicles, it's going to be problems. We're talking on the bare necessities, the stuff that can get you home. You home motor, you're going to be done. You throw a transmission, you're going to be done. Uh, I put a semi clutch in on the side of the road. You can do it. It's a lot of work. You don't want to do it. Yeah, William says you can fix fuses with gum wrappers. You got to watch that because you can turn your truck down that way. But it could be in a pinch. It's this little stuff that you don't want a tow bill. You know what I'm saying? And you don't want really nobody where you're at. So if you had a little common sense and a little bit of watching these shows like this, we're giving you a ton of tips. You guys are talking a ton of tips, and that can save your butt. You don't have to get home to fix the problem. I've got a great story on a VW. I used to build VW Beetles. I had a Baja. Me and my buddy, we were way out at the lake in the middle of nowhere. I blew a belt on it. Well, if you guys know the belts on VWs, they run the charging system and they run the fan on the back. It will overheat immediately. So we're sitting there. This is years and years and years ago. I was 20 some years old. No cell phones back in. And my buddy's walking up and down the road like, what can we find? Can we find bell and string, whatever to make it? He found an old pair of Fruit of Loom underwear with the elastic on it. We tied a knot in it to make it tight enough to hold the pole. And that thing turned that fan and that generator about 22 miles before I got home. We could not believe a pair of underwear would turn that. That's the ingenuity we're talking about. That's the bushcraft. the self-reliance, the survivalist stuff that we need to look at. I can't rebuild the motor in the field, but I can get it home. That's the key. So, uh, power bank charge. I use a power bank to charge my phone with cable. I do that all the time. In an emergency to get you home. We're talking about getting you home, guys. We're not talking about major extensive stuff, but a rotor button can leave you stranded big time. And I've worked on enough old Chevys and Fords. A set of points would let you sit there. Everybody, when they had old points vehicles, they always carried extra points, and they were Blue Streak points. How do I remember that? Because I bought so many of them, kept in the glove box. In case you burn a pair of points, you're out fishing, hunting, you start your truck with a bottle in the store, check the points, burn them, and why? I kept them set, I kept them clean, they just go bad. Today's electronic ignitions and trucks, if you go down and lose a coil pack, man, you're not going to carry a whole lot of coil packs in your truck. You know what I'm saying? Them old trucks were fixable on the side of the road. On the minor stuff, maintenance stuff. That's what we're talking about. Budget, keeping it cheap. Go ahead, Blackie.
Yeah, you remember like I do that not cigarette paper, the wrapper, the foil wrapper on a pack of cigarettes was about the right thickness for setting points on a Ford. It'd get it to crank. And you didn't have a feeler gauge, you had a set of points and a pocket knife. And you'd take that paper and put in there and make it so it just dragged it and it would crank. That was what we used. So a lot of times they'd take an empty cigarette pack and they'd put the points in it, wrap it up, and put it in the glove box in case you were out in the middle of nowhere. Ask me how many times I've been, because I was the small one, stuffed up in there, get up in there and try to test points. Yeah.
My father-in-law was small like you, and I've seen him get up there and driving down the road and adjust the timing under the hood on like a 47 Ford. He was just a distributor going down the road, sitting on the fender under the hood. I never seen nothing like that, man. Yeah. It says, don't smoke, kids, even for the Ford repairs. Man, everybody smoked. Matchbooks was a great thickness for point sets.
Yeah.
In fact, you could take the matchbook striker and file the points clean with it, to get you back on the road. It's the ingenuity of being poor is excellent, man. I mean, it's what we did. There's a good saying, and I can't remember. It was about strong men create this, and you can see the chain of command. They get weaker because they work their butt off to make it easier.
Strong men make good times. No, yeah. Strong men make good times. Good times make weak men. Weak men make hard times. Hard times make strong men. Just keep going in that circle.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what I meant by that. And when you're poor and you can't afford them points, and our tractors have points, so book of matches was found everywhere. They were usually free. When you bought a pack of cigarettes, there's a whole thing of book of matches there. So there's book of matches in every glove box because we use points to set the points. Sometimes the points would stick and they get, you clean them up, put them back in there and go until you got a new set. It was just, this is old school stuff, but this is what we talk about having an older vehicle. I'm not telling you guys to run out and buy an old 90 Chevy. But if you come across one like tinkering on stuff, maybe put your back. I don't want to run that old Chevy down to Blackie's for 800 miles. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, could I? Yeah, I could. But around here, incognito camping, incognito hunting, fishing, and trapping, that kind of blends in. Using it on the farm. Using it for an old farm truck. It doesn't cost that much. Women. I forgot William Goodman, man. He said, women's embroidery board for filing their fingernails. I remember them. We used them for points a lot. He mentioned earlier the nylons. Women wore pantyhose. We called them pantyhose back there, nylons. That was an elastic piece of plastic. We used them, man, for, you can't believe what we used them for. I used to blend crawfish in my blender on bass tournaments because we wasn't allowed to use live bait. I'd put them in a used pair of pantyhose, squeeze them out as a filter, and take all the juice and put it in my squirt bottles. It wasn't live bait, but it was daggum close.
Yeah.
So it's that was a heck of a thing, man. The pantyhose were saying you don't see them anymore like you used to. You know, it's this is kind of crazy. It's kind of bringing up some of the old school crap that we talked
I
about.
used them to make a
Uh,
replacement belt on a 72 Chevy Malibu. Me and a girl was out somewhere and everything, the fan belt slung apart and I didn't have another replacement with me, but she had on pantyhose. So we took the pantyhose and that's what I stretched out and tied, twisted up, pulled it, got a long thing and went around and tied it. And that putting 40 miles an hour got us 15 miles back home where I could get parts. You know, everything using them things for. We'd make even
yeah.
little window screens,
So
little
it's
window
kind of
bumpers out of them, something to
yeah.
keep the bugs
It's
out.
we're rehashing because the vehicles are easy to work on, easier. We're rehashing some of the stuff me and Blackie went through. When you're 16 years old, you got a 75 pickup that got 9 miles a gallon, uphill, downhill, loaded or unloaded. You know, things like that. You know, I learned how to make my own gaskets on my fuel pumps. I couldn't afford a gasket set on the carburetors. They had Holly carburetors on. You know, it was stuff like that. It wasn't. Today we consider, you know, that's not the proper way to do stuff. Yes, granted, but when you're trying to make money with your truck, dollars are tight. You know, we learned to get by. I mean, my God, how much bail and string did we didn't we cut the bail strings, but we didn't throw them away. We hung them in the barn because they were used for everything,
Mm-hmm.
everything. You know, Survivor Rush talks about a handful of nails and a piece of wire. Well, I was so shocked because I've been carrying that forever because that's the bushman or the woodsman's duct tape is a piece of wire. Your exhaust is dragging the ground. Yet duct tape's great, but it won't hold that high exhaust in it. But a piece of wire would. You know, a spool of
Coat
wire in your vehicle is a ton.
You take an
Go
old
ahead,
coat
Black.
hanger, you can use it to hang lights with. You can use it to tie up a muffler. You can open it out straight and use it to roast a weenie or make marshmallows. You take it to twist gates back together. You take it to twist, go through the latch on a boat so that it wouldn't pop up. You didn't have a lock to go into the boat latch on the tongue. Hook safety chains in place. They lock in place to keep them from unlocking. I mean, we carried a pair of them big lineman's pliers, and you always had one or two of those old metal coat hangers in the back of the truck somewhere just for that. Needed wire for something. You know, make a pointer to be a indicator for adjusting the timing on an engine. Remember, your pointer's gone, but you got the screw still sitting there. Well, you'd make you one out of a piece of wire, and that's how you
I
time the engine
forgot.
was on that point.
Well, you worked on Chevy Motors because Chevy's was bad for that crap, man. But
Yeah, that
yeah,
little
I
thing
mean,
would rot off and was gone.
yeah,
And you were trying to
yeah.
set the time, and there wasn't nothing there. We'd have to make us one out of wire and stick up there. Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about. I love the budget stuff, man. I mean, we were talking about setting up a camper, uh, you know what I'm saying, and using cardboard that we found. We're talking about stuff for installation and on the camper side of it. Now we're rolled into the truck style. A lot of this stuff is fixable on these older vehicles. And they still a lot of these ideas still work on modern vehicles. Not as much because they're not
Mhm.
carrying points, and which thank God they got rid of points. I was so sick of changing points and setting dwell. Nobody knows I set dwell. Uh, but it was, and like you said, Williams said spark fuel, and I want to throw my 2 cents in even on a modern vehicle. Uh, if a modern vehicle goes down, this is one of my tips and tricks. You go to AutoZone and get you a small can of starting fluid or brake clean. Don't need a big can. Keep it in your truck. And what that does is I troubleshoot more vehicles that way because if I spray it in the intake and crank and it hits, we've got a fuel problem. If it doesn't hit, I've got a spark problem. So right there, just eliminated 50% of the problem. I'll give you a little quick story. Gun show way to Columbus with my buddy in the Ford Ranger. He took care of his Ranger top of the line. We filled up. We stopped for breakfast at the truck stop. We filled up. We got down the road. It was probably 2 or 3 miles from the gun show, and his truck quit on the highway. We pulled over the sideway almost to the ramp. What's wrong with it? I got a starting fluid out. I hit it. it was sparked like right now. So we got a fuel problem. We had just filled up. We had just filled up this truck stop. We got a slug of something, slug of water, slug of something, garbage. And I'm laying on the side of the highway, which Ford Ranger puts a stupid fuel filter in the worst place. I get it pulled off. No way of going nowhere. I have another fuel filter. Fuel's running down my arm, trying to get it off. Finally get it off. Tried to blow through it. It's blood. Sometimes you can turn around and blow backwards in them, get it opened up to get me up to the next stop. This Mexican gentleman stops. We can't hardly understand him. You need help. No, we need a filter. He said, you get in the truck, we're going to take you one. They were gone. They were hunting this fuel filter. I thought, man, that Mexican kidnapped my buddy. I mean, they were gone for like an hour and a half. I'm sitting in this truck, and they get back, and this Mexican, he crawls underneath the truck. He helps me put the fuel filter on, gets it up. We got to talking to him. He goes, I love the U.S. And I said, really? I said, well, thank you, man. He says, I come to this country legally. I love the U.S. He says, but in Mexico, nobody will stop. He said, when I break down in Mexico, nobody stops. He says, when I first come to America and I broke down, everybody stops. He says, I stopped to repay you guys. Blowed my mind, dude. I mean, that's the difference of people stopping and helping us out. We didn't have another fuel filter. I ended up, my buddy bought me a new shirt. I trashed my shirt in that. On a truck stop, taking a shower because the fuel, is all over me. But there you go. My buddy's truck was very maintained. It was he changed fuel filters off, very picky on his truck. But you got to slug about gas. So things like this do happen, guys. But that's a little tip. That was my tip on the ether to get you to understand that you can knock out 50% of your gas work. Let me see. Mon cars run on ding dings, widgets, and micro chips. That cracks me up. Nothing makes a better day than blowing through a fuel filter on the side of the road of the highway. Been there. It sucks, dude. It tastes bad, but sometimes you can backwards and blow the crap out of them. You know what I'm saying? Just enough to get you home. And for something, whatever he got in that tank, man, when he got back, dude, we did like fuel filters on the next 6 months. We drained the tank out of whatever he got, just plug that fuel filter. And that's what I'm saying. Anything can happen. Luckily, I was a pretty decent mechanic back in the day, and I could fix that. But I'm standing there on the side of the road holding a fuel filter that I can't get the air back. So it's tips and tricks like this that blowing through an air filter. What's junk? Well, a lot of times that rust or whatever comes out of the tank can plug the screen. So if you can blow back through it, you can blow it back out the hole, and it will give you, I'd say, get home and change that fuel filter, but it might get you home.
Something that I had to do in a similar situation like you're talking about. I was on my old Chevy truck, my S10, my C10, and I was coming back out of Mobile, and I got up on Interstate 10 coming home, and I've been running maybe 25, 30 minutes. And it just, like I said, it just turned off. Well, I knew right then it had to be electrical or fuel, period. So I coasted over to the side, and I got to looking, and I had a clear fuel bulb in line going to the carburetor. That was empty. That told me right then it's fuel. I knew I had plenty of fuel. So like you, I shined it underneath it. I got the fuel filter off. I couldn't blow through it, but I carried 18 inches of fuel line. I just hooked a direct line and bypassed and cranked up and came home. Just took the fuel filter out of the line, just hooked line to line and just went straight across. And I drove home. And that's whatever I'd got, like you said, I'd plug that fuel filter up. And that was it. It was stone cold dead. But I just kept the line to jump across and bypass the fuel filter. Yeah, it's not good in the long run, but it got me home.
We're all talking. These are they're pain in the butt fixes, but we're trying to bug out. We're trying to keep our stuff going. If it comes to bad times, you know what I'm saying. All these little pointers might come up to you while you're sitting there on the side of the road or at your camp spot and your truck won't start. And what did they say? Can I do that? And it might help you. I can't tell you on electronic engines on the new stuff because once the sensor goes bad, it's gone. It's very hard to bypass. But on this older stuff, we can do that. These tips and tricks. I mean, I carry special plugs for my tires in my truck. I carry a lot of extra stuff. In fact, my toolbox, my truck, which is out of it right now, is 6.5 foot long. I built it out of 2x10s, and it's got two drawers in it that are 6 foot long. And that's where all my jacks are. I can sleep on that wood. Remember, we talked about insulation. That's not the steel bed. I'm sitting on my toolbox is built level with the bed wheel wells. So now I've actually extended it. Gives me four pockets of stuff to keep. And there was I was telling Blackie a story about this guy called me up and said, "Man, I've got more muskrats. It's an hour and a half from my house, almost 2 hours from my house. You've never seen that many muskrats in your life." And I said, "Well, I've heard this one." So I load up everything, because that's not going to pay me to go up and trap, drive back and trap back, go back up there and check my traps. So I told the wife, I'm going to load up, comb the lanterns, comb the stove, grab me some food. I get up there. I've never seen so many rats in my life. I mean, I was setting traps. I could hear them clicking in the back, and I did over 100 rats in a 24-hour period. But it was so neat that I slept on my toolbox. It was cold. This is January. I had my cam top on, closed the door. I did like you said, I filled up my land, because combing lanterns give off kind of killer heat. Now, you got to have oxygen in there, but if you leave the top open, it will heat the cam top, it'll heat the metal, it'll heat the wood up. So when I shut it off and got in there, I still have that heat, but I'm sitting on a wooden box. I was fine. The biggest issue I had when I come out and I picked up all my traps is skinning all these rats. A lot of work, but that's what we're talking about. I've trapped some beaver pretty far from here that I use my truck to sleep in the middle of January, because it doesn't pay to go down there and come back. So that's what we're talking about. And you can use your modern truck for this. We're just talking about, how do you get by in that kind of cold weather? And I've done it. And me and Blackie's talked about this for a while, about setting this up. And he's a great video guy. You guys know that. I can't wait. I've been trying to light him up to get this done.
Yeah. We'll get the videos going. And, mine is one of the smallest trucks you're going to get. It's that little Nissan. All this stuff will apply to the bigger, like what Dan's got. It's a full-size truck. It's got a much bigger bed. The same idea applies. Now, for him, it works better. He needs that kind of ground clearance because he's in snow country. I'm not. I can get along with two-wheel drive. He really needs four-wheel drive. So what kind of truck you need is your environment. So you pick what you need. The camper shell, you can get, I recommend start looking around at the buy-sell trade, like talking about Dan. People will give these things away. Because a lot of times they got rid of the truck, and whoever was getting the truck didn't want the camper shell. So they just, like you said, I've seen a lot of them for free. Just come pick it up, get it out of my yard. Or the back glass gets broke. Just come get it. It's free. And you can repair most of this stuff yourself. You can upgrade it. And by setting up this as a portable base camp, it's a bug out vehicle. It's a base of operations for a family camp out where, everybody's going to be in tents. But I got a base of operations. We've got something we can close up in very inclement weather. I've got a cook station. I've got bathroom. I've got shower. All of those options. I can carry stuff. One of the things I like to do is I've got a cot that fits perfectly in my bed, and it closes, and I still got room to sleep. Well, it's about 4 inches of clearance underneath me. I put long pieces of cardboard under there, and that's where I slide my shotgun or my rifle. It's underneath me. Not out of, it's hidden. You can't see it. But I'm going hunting. Okay. I'm going to have my gun with me, but while I'm not actually hunting, I may be doing something around camp. That's storage for my gun or a fishing rod or something like that. Excuse me, because I got the space underneath me. Why not utilize it? The humps on the side can be used as a shelf, a little place to put stuff. Quite often I've made mine into a little bookshelf on the side, and it's the stuff I'm going to read or do whatever while I'm out camping. I just set it up there, and I got the two little end blocks to hold it in place. So that becomes a useful piece. Then you got the hole on this side and the hole on that side. Well, I've got certain things I put into this one, certain things I put into that one. Everything has a place. So even in the dark, I know where everything is. So if I wake up and like, oh God, I got a headache, I need whatever. I know where the medicines are at. They're in this cubby hole right here in a zippered pouch. Just pull it out and get what I need out of it. Battery powered lantern, like I've showed in my videos, which has got 30 hours runtime on 3AA, and I carry 6 batteries with it. I'm good for a month, for that. So I've got plenty of light to light my camp. I got a big Coleman lantern to light up the area out there. If I'm going to be night fishing or whatever, I'll run that. And I've got a Coleman stove for cooking. I can also use alcohol stove. Run a fire. I'm good at cooking on a fire. But it gives me more options, and it gives you the ability to go out and camp in a little bit of luxury, you know, without having to, we got to set up the tents. And you can be set up in 5 minutes. I don't have to set up a tent. I'm in the tent. All I got to do is throw an awning up, pull this out, sit this here. It's a quick up or down. I got more time to go fishing, hunting, whatever. Less time setting up and taking down camp. That's the big advantage of it. And if I have to bug out, or me and the wife have to get out of here for whatever reason, and we've got to go 200 miles north because we have Cat 3 coming, or Cat 5 hurricane. We've got to go north. I can get on them back roads instead of getting locked like everybody else knows interstate. I'll get on them little back roads and I'll find me a place on somebody's farm up yonder. Just pull over the side of the road, out of sight, out of mind, and I can set up and be okay till I got to come home. It's a portable shelter beyond just being a vehicle. Easy peasy, easy to do. And that's what we're going to do. Both me and Dan's going to do some videos. I'm going to do my series, and then Dan's going to do some addressing some things like he'll play off of mine. So I'll do this. I'm on the short end. I'm the littlest truck you can get. He'll show you that in a full size truck. Talk about things you can do with a bigger truck than a little bitty old black truck. See, and that'll give you something to work with, give you an idea. Everybody can afford these if you just look, pick up, find an old truck that needs some love but is mechanically sound. Like I said, an estate sale is great. 2, aluminum camper shell, dirt cheap. You can upgrade later on. So if you find that nice fiberglass shell that somebody, I got rid of the truck, only want $100 for it. Take that aluminum one off, put the fiberglass one on, upgrade, and then sell the aluminum. $200, who wants it? You can constantly upgrade, constantly improve. And that's the whole thing. You can have the same capabilities as that guy with that $70,000 rig, and you can do it for a whole lot less and still have something that you can be proud of. That's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, James brought up. I mean, he brought up, the package and the tarp on the bed windows. He got a pretty good package. He likes it. You can go as far as your budget will allow. I mean, we're just trying to give you guys back the pointers to get back to basics. That's all we're trying to do. I mean, it's easy to go up. It's just hard to remember sometimes the basic stuff we got by with. And how many times we went camping, and I'm guilty as all get out of taking so much crap with me and never used half of it. Because we're thinking, man, I want to need this, want to need that, want to need that. You do this a few times and you get really good at what you really need. James just said he got home through 2 hurricanes. That's it. I mean, like he said, rubber mats, you can hose out, you can do this stuff to keep your money down, but use the same ideas to go up with it, go all the way up to the top of it. That's how it starts. But I used to laugh about this because I slept in the truck a lot. Deer hunting, deer camps and stuff. Fishing at nighttime. We used to be able to park trucks right up to the river. 10 feet from the river. We'd sit on the tailgate, have our lanterns up there, and that guy would stay up. You go take a 2-hour nap, and we was just pushing in. When the fish slowed down, we'd take a nap. I've done a lot of that. It doesn't have to take an old truck to do this. That's what we're not getting at. But if you can afford an older truck, a little reliable truck, and build you a nice bug out rod, You know what I'm saying? Uh, a lot of Jeeps, guys, and they're very hard to sleep in. And I love a Jeep. They're short wheelbase. You can get them in and out of places like that, but it doesn't give you any room to bug out in. You know, like a pickup truck does. You know, I just think it's a standard pickup truck, even two wheel drive with a camshell. You can be surprised what you get by with. Uh, you know, uh, but that's where we're at. Uh, Anything else you got on that, Blackie?
Oh, one other thing I wanted to point out
Other
was
than
a friend of mine
go
last
ahead.
year. He had a truck like mine with the aluminum camper shell on it, and he had done like I did and ran the 2x4s across to make a rack. Well, then he went and got some 3/4 inch plywood, laid over the top, made a deck out of it, and he gets one of those pop up blinds that you sit in with a small chair for like bow hunting or whatever. He pulls out the edge of the field where he's going to be. He just climbs up there, and that's where he's going to be. His deer stand is on top of his pickup truck. Well, his bed's downstairs. This is his blind. He just gets in it, sits in a little old chair in there, and he's got 360. He can turn around and hunt out of the back of his car. That's legal in Alabama. So he's not shooting out of a window. He's stationary. And so he's just using it as a deer blind. And downstairs is his bedroom. He comes out here tonight. He parks 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning. He'll transfer up there, and he's sitting there drinking his coffee, watching the field, ready to get a shot. How simple can it get? I know it's about time. I want to tell
Yeah,
you,
I
thank you
mean
for all the
that's
time
what
you think.
yeah, because we're pushing on time 4 minutes, man. I'm trying to stay on time tonight. We kind of went over last one. I see the guys talk about Jeeps and stuff like that. Just think about it. Just think about your situation, the vehicle you drive. Even if you have a car right now, you know,
Mm-hmm.
there's times. Could you sleep with it cracked open? To give you more leg room. Can you recline in the seat and be comfortable for 1 2 months? You can do this in a car. It's not just even the pickup truck. The pickup truck lets me my big butt stretch out. Where I have trouble sleeping in trucks, and I know I get a lot of flack because I work for the state of Ohio. They said, "Well, you're used to sleeping in trucks." But it was, I was going to tell a quick story. I broke down in the wintertime on a plow truck. My plow route was the most dangerous route in the county. It's flat and it was drifting like crazy. I blew the alternator belt, managed to get back to a small town called Jamestown. I got out and dropped my blade before the truck dropped, before the truck died. Backed up so they could bring me another truck and I could put it underneath the blade. The truck died, and I was telling Blackie this earlier. I said I wanted to see how long I would last in that truck. Now it's below zero outside. The snow's blowing horizontal. The wind is crazy, and in about 30 minutes my teeth were rattling. Now there's a lot of guys that plow snow don't take nothing with them. Not me. A big duffel bag. I had my overalls, heavy coat, candle, food, water. my huge candle I've set up had 3 wicks in it. I think I got it at Goodwood for like $1. You know, put it up on the dash. You got to remember to crack the windows, guys. You got to crack the windows because it's good run oxygen. But I got out of the truck, got my overalls on and everything like that. They said, "Look, man, we're so busy. The tow trucks are pulling everybody out. We got a mess. It's going to take about 4 hours. 4 hours to get me in a truck that's got non-insulated in it." When the driver got there, the candle was burning. I'm sitting next to the window with it cracked, and I'm in dead sleep. I said, "Man, we all 16 on 8 hours plowing snow."
Mm-hmm.
So I might as well get me a nap. And I was toasty warm because I layered up. I filled my belly up. My candle was enough to keep me warm. Even that driver said, "Man, you fine?" He said, "You're toasty in here." I said, "Yeah, man, I'll snap." They pulled the truck out from under me. I could not fire the truck up. It died on it. The electricity on the electronic motors died. So I proved to myself that I could do 4 hours below zero. Now, I didn't do a whole 8, but I think I was pretty confident about doing a whole 8 hours. So that story is very important to me. Are you ready? I know you guys down south aren't going to get this kind of, but Blackie, if he gets down to 30 degrees down Blackie's house on a cold snap, that's very cold for him. You could die in that. You could freeze to death down in southern Alabama at 30 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
He's nowhere near used to that temperature. So, guys, I want everybody tell Blackie, thanks again for joining us. I thought this was a pretty good idea. If you ordered bags, they'll be going out next week. Hopefully, we get it all in next week. Uh, look for his series on that. And you guys remember, I got to change my banner here before I forget. I ask you guys, I appreciate everything you guys do for me. For my YouTube channel, you guys know what we're doing. We're having a ball out here. The rules is we don't talk about, what's going on in the world. This is about our bushcraft and self-reliance stuff. You guys do a lot for me, but I ask one thing from you guys at every show is I need 5 minutes before we go to bed is say a prayer for our first responders. Like I said, every weekend, hate that cop pulling up behind with the lights on. But he's also the first one there, when you need trouble. Same with the firemen, same with even my wife, dealing drugs to sick people. You know what I'm saying? She works at the pharmacy. So, we got to always say a prayer to keep these people protected. Even the plow drivers up there, we're getting ready to go in the weather, in our weather. Plow driving's crazy. So do me a favor. It doesn't take long, 5 minutes to say a prayer for them. That's all I ask you guys. The rest of you guys do my channel great. Like I said, thanks for Blackie Thomas again. We've been talking about this for a month on this bug out stuff. Yeah. So guys, we're right on time. Thank you very much for everybody coming and seeing me. We're going to do it again next week. But one more announcement real quick, Blackie.
Yeah.
We are going to support Ohio Bushcraft.
Yeah. Up there Thursday. Ohio Bushcraft Gathering.
And Blackie will be in Ohio. He is coming to Central Ohio Bushcraft. If you guys are close, you can buy daily tickets up there. Come in and sing. You know what I'm saying? I'll have a booth up. My brothers, lots of other crap will be there. If you guys got a chance to see us, stop in and see us there, man. I want to give a shout out. So there'll be some videos on that too. So guys, thank you. Have a good evening, and we'll see you next Thursday. We gone.